Environment Agency's integrated waste management facility. This collaboration allows us to reap synergies where water, energy, and waste intersect with an integrated approach that yields more efficient, sustainable operations. And we can point to many other examples of approaches that deliver promising outcomes, including some of the world's most transformative and iconic infrastructure programs. Consider the Panama Canal expansion, which not only doubled its global shipping capacity, but that also incorporated an inclusive local workforce development program and innovative locks that recycle up to 60% of the water required per transit. Or Dubai's beautiful 16-mile waterway, part of a master plan that now provides a vital connection to the Arabian Gulf while accommodating public transit, residential, and recreational uses. And when it comes to mobility, we're seeing more integrated master plan developments at the world's busiest airports, connecting them more seamlessly to city centers and other transit modes, while maximizing resources and providing world-class shopping and entertainment like Singapore's Changi Airport. At Jacobs, we're helping an increasing number of cities incorporate low-carbon and smart-enabled technologies, develop more efficient and user-friendly transit systems. From Japan's pioneering development of high-speed rail to China's incomparable and enormous network of more than 9,000 kilometers of tracks. While France, Germany, and Spain round out the world's top 5 rapid rail countries, we can also point to other great initiatives around the world, such as Toronto's Metrolink system. Jacob serves as program manager for the $40 billion Metrolinks initiative that's using innovative, energy-efficient technologies to connect new and existing nodes, such as regional express rail, light rail, and rapid bus lines. Just as transformative are the programs at Jacobs that we're supporting to improve resilience in every region of the world, delivering comprehensive infrastructure and intelligent solutions that help communities adapt, mitigate, and recover from flooding and other climate threats such as cybersecurity risks and biological hazards. These range from the world's largest resilience programs that's reinforcing 175 kilometers along England's Thames estuary, where 1.3 million people live and work, to the Central Pacific Republic of Kiribati, where planned elevation improvements will help to protect over 100,000 residents from tidal flooding. And we now have the ability to combine real-time geospatial data and digital intelligence with transformative engineering and structural solutions that enable us to detect, defend, and prevent against threats like never before. For example, we have proven results with infrastructure hybrids incorporating gray-built infrastructures with natural features like dunescaping, native vegetation, and fisheries, which enhance flood protection, while contributing positively to economic and property values. And in the United States, we're managing a massive sediment diversion program to restore and reinforce the Louisiana coastline, aided with oyster beds to address critical environmental, economic, and cultural resilient challenges. So from our perspective at Jacobs, we've never been better equipped to provide innovative solutions for more converging challenges of urbanization, resource scarcity, and climate and security threats. Working along leaders like all of you, we see what's possible when visionary leadership, inclusive collaboration, and integrated plans come together. Like Singapore has facilitated for us today, hosting this meeting, bringing delegates of 3 summits together. We learn from one another, and together we propel change for the better, change that improves the lives and livelihoods of people everywhere and truly delivers the promise of a more connected, sustainable world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dimitriou. Now we go to Mr. Charles, Mr. Bernard Charles. Dassault Systems is working on Virtual Singapore, on that project, and you help planners visualize what they are trying to plan for the future. Can you tell us how digital technologies can help us plan for more sustainable mobility solutions? We've not touched on transport yet.
Well, thank you for the question. I think if all the Meyer in the audience were pilot of I think I would like to inform you that your plane would never take off. Because if I have to do the metaphor between how cities are developed and how airplanes are developed, the city is the conjunction of so many complexity, which are coming from many aspects. An intrinsic complexity of what the city is about, but also a complexity resulting from the economy complexity. Because you find cars, transportation, trains, buildings, energy center, waste system. So the progress of each sectors of the economy are indeed contributing to the progress of how a city can be handled. And if you look at the last 30 years, and you get your inspiration from other sectors, you can see that last year, for example, in civil aircraft, there was 0 accident in 2017. 0 accident and more traffic. Why so? Because basically that industry over the last 30 years has massively used digitization not to improve productivity, as one could say, but to master complexity, to predict and make things right first time. And in cities, that does not happen anywhere in the world. Why so? Because you are forced to make decisions being blind. And why? Because the representation of the city has many defects. One, usually it's flat. Usually there is no correlation between the different services of the cities. And it's not about organizational aspect only between agencies. It's just the capacity to represent the complexity. And if airplanes were done this way, they would never fly. So with Singapore, to address your question, the first thing we want to do together, and also with my friend, Chief Minister, is to really make significant progress to manage complexity. Managing complexity is about making sure that all stakeholders see the same thing. But when they don't see the same thing, you cannot have good decisions. So being able to observe what exists is one first condition. So I am astonished in many cities the spending done with IoT, data, and so on, but nobody knows what to do with it because you cannot relate them to the way the city works. So one bet that we are doing at Dassault System is that one day we will be able to represent the city in such kind of accuracy that, like for an airplane, you can exactly understand how it works. And I believe we are very close to make the distance between the V, the virtual world, and the R, the real world, to 0. And that will change everything. That's one point. The second point is about seeing, but the second point is about simulating. It's about what if I do that versus I do this. And this is the arbitration challenge. And in most cities today, optimization are done by silos. Well, first of all, because it's impossible to do better, so that's a reality. But there is a second reality, which is the systems are totally disconnected. Now, is it a technology question? Yes, it is in some way, but I think it's a scientific question. It's the challenge of being able to do the modeling of the world. Well, I have a good news for you. A city is less complex than human body. That's good news. Far less complex. More complex than a plane, but less complex than one person. And I think we are doing so much for brain, heart, vascular, that we believe those technologies can be used for cities to really interconnect disciplines who wants to work together but cannot work together because they don't understand each other. So visibility, what if, which means simulation. And then, of course, the permanent connection between what is happening in the real world and what is happening in the virtual world. So in some way, it's not a secret. It's not so complex. It's about the bet of saying that, yes, we can create a platform that can help people to see the same thing. By the way, 3D is useful for that. My mom does not understand the kitchen if I show her a drawing, but she does understand her kitchen if it's 3D modeled. So understanding, complexity, multidiscipline correlation, this world at the beginning of the 21st century will change because what has been used in other sectors, most of the others, where, by the way, you should notice that the architecture and construction are 30 years later than any other sectors. It's more than 30 years behind aerospace. Most of buildings are still constructed with drawings. Think about it, just one thing of your city, not to speak about infrastructure. So this is happening, this is the bet we are doing, and it's our journey with NRF and Singapore, but we're also doing it now. This afternoon we will announce it here with Chengdu in China, with Andhra Pradesh, and I think that is an unstoppable wave to change the perspective about how you, pilot of your cities, will see, arbitrate, and predict when you make decisions, that those decisions are helping citizens to have a higher quality of services and higher quality of life. That's what we do.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. I have a follow-up question, but I won't ask it now. I'll ask it if nobody else asks a question. Well, my final speaker on the panel, but not the least important, would be His Excellency Dr. Thani from the United Arab Emirates, Minister of Climate Change and the Environment. Dr. Thani, the United Arab Emirates is seen to be a modernizing leader in your region, very willing to embrace technology. UAE is an arid country. How are you using technology and innovation for sustainable development? And if you could, can you tell us something about your national climate change plan and the ideas of green growth in the plan and how you mitigate the effects of climate change?
Sure. Thank you so much, Professor Chan. It's my pleasure to be here at Singapore with very distinguished speakers and panelists today speaking about the climate change and the urbanization within the UAE. If you allow me, I'm going to go over 6 pillars throughout my interventions, namely on energy, water, environment, waste, sustainable cities, as well as the awareness, which is very crucial. But before I start digging into the details of those sectors, UAE is almost 46 years old, and throughout the last 46 years, the leaders and the founders of UAE has been always taking consideration the environmental aspects in all most of our developments and the sustainable projects. So far, we're going toward and taking the same forward steps. We have the National Climate Change Plan 2050. We have the 2030 Green Agenda. We do have global platforms like the World Government Summits as well as the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Weeks. And at the same time, we support the nations and the developing countries around the world with soft and grant funds to ensure that they use some of the experience that we earn within the UAE. So if you allow me to start with the energy sector, we last year announced the UAE 2050 energy plan, and it has 50% of the energy plan to be coming from the clean energy. That's going to have a huge economical value to the country. We're expecting saving of 700 billion dirhams by 2050, and that's going to have a huge carbon reduction when it comes from the power sector, and we're talking about almost 70% reduction from the power sector. Yes, we've been doing excellent job so far for the last 10 years when it comes to renewables. The last prices when it comes to producing power from renewables reached very competitive prices. We're talking about almost less than 2.42 cents per kilowatt hour, which is very competitive to the even producing power from the natural gas. Moving forward, we're going to continue deploying new technologies, and we're welcoming the partnerships from private sector and the sector. Moving to the water sector, which is very crucial. As you all know, that we're coming from very scarce water region, and the water is one of the challenges like many other countries. We've been working aggressively in the desalination plants, and we're moving slowly from the conventional thermal desalinations toward more efficient technologies like the ROs. And we've been trying and experimenting the usage of renewables in the desalinations through our largest renewable energy investors, Master, as well as the Dubai Electricity and Water Authorities. And the results for the last 2 years is very promising. We're talking about almost 75% improvement on the efficiency when it comes to desalinating water using the renewables. And the savings, we're expecting the minimum to be not less than 550 million just by deploying such technologies. Moving forward with the technologies, when it comes to water, we do artificial water and water seedings, cloud seedings, and we've been successful doing that for the last few years. Yes, it's very environmental technologies. We're ensuring that any materials that we're using will not be harmful to the environments. The research is still going on, and the results which we're seeing is very positive and having a huge impact on the cloud seedings which we've been harvesting lately. Speaking about the waste, which is a global challenge, not only to the UAE, we're one of the highest producer when it comes to waste. We're talking about almost 1.7, 1.8 kilos per day per person, which is very high in terms of the average. We do have very aggressive targets. We're planning to reduce our solid waste by 75% by 2021, and there are so many projects have been announced lately, and we're going to announce a few in the upcoming months. We're using the waste to energy technologies, the RDF technologies, and we're exploring with the waste experts and companies to see how can we move even further in our targets. The fourth sector which I want to touch on is the environment. And the environment is very crucial in reducing our carbon footprint. And I'm going to just highlight a couple of excellent examples which we've been doing is the plantation of mangroves in the UAE. And based on the latest studies which we did, the amount of carbon storage which has been done through the mangroves has been reaching more than 41 million tons of CO2. Which means that the plantation is really paying off. The reduction which was aimed from such plantations, and we know the environmental impact and environmental positive impact of the mangroves is there because of the marine life around the mangroves. There's so many environmental projects which we've been doing, but I want to highlight the mangroves as it has a huge positive impact on our carbon reduction. The fifth sector, fifth element which I want to touch on is the awareness and youth. The awareness is very crucial, and for the last 2 years we've been taking the theme of sustainable production and consumptions principles on board. We're encouraging our industries, we're encouraging the publics and all the various stakeholders within the country to ensure that they're part of the sustainable and the usage-friendly of our resources. The youth engagement is very crucial, and we do have so many initiatives when it comes to engaging the youth and bring them on board to ensure that we build a very educated, aware generation which is going to take this topic forward. We're really proud of what we have done so far. Yes, there are so many gaps, there are so many things to be done further, but we feel that we're moving toward the right direction so far, and we welcome any new opportunities, any new ideas which we can take on board to the country. Again, thank you so much for the invitations, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tani, for sharing. Now, we have come to the end of the first part of the session, which is this round of questions. We are now throwing the session to the audience and inviting questions from the floor. Now, you may put up your hands to indicate if you want to ask a question. Yes, I see someone there, and that's very efficient. Thank you very much. Can you speak loudly into the mic? Thank you.
Yes, if you can hear me, my name is Glenn Diger. I'm a professor of engineering practice at the University of Michigan in the U.S. I think we all know the challenges in front of us, but we also need vision and optimism. And I would be interested in the panelists if they could each list the one thing that makes them the most optimistic about the future.
Well, this is a request for each one of the panelists to mention one thing that makes them optimistic about the future. Shall we begin with you, Kristalina?
Well, what makes me most optimistic is the bottom-up energy that is coming, including from the communities of mayors, when it comes down to tackling climate change. We see cities coming up very strongly on practical solutions in terms of embracing CO2 emission. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Clearly, there was a bit of mic problem. So let me just go back.
Summarize.
Yes. What makes me most optimistic is the bottom-up energy that comes from mayors and businesses. The mayors in the audience, raise your hand. How many of you are here? Mayors, bravo to you. The embracing CO2 emission reduction strategies, very practical, and also building resilience in cities in a very effective way, even in poor neighborhoods, even in slums. So we people are putting forward our best foot on climate, even if sometimes at the level of governments the support is a little underwhelming.
Thank you. Mr. Chuang?
Thank you. 我给讲一个小故事。最近在中国有一个湖南电视台上播一个节目，叫《向往的生活》。这个节目呢，邀请很多中国的这些老的、年轻的明星到乡村去生活。这个节目呢，引起很大的反响，大家都在看。有两个方面呢，让我感觉到一种希望。一个是明星去了以后呢，这些平时他们都很忙，都城市生活，到了那地方以后呢，大家有一个共同的感受，这就是我向往的生活。 这些电视观众看完以后呢，也意识到说我们需要有这样的生活。所以从中呢，我也看到一个希望，大家越来越注意到生态环境、自然的重要性。这样呢，大家会更加努力的去保护环境、保护自然。谢谢。
Chief Minister.
Friends, one single question, if you see all problems, we can tackle very efficiently, provided there is proper leadership. Leaders should have a vision. Everything is available now. By seeing technology and innovations, knowledge, technology, Internet of Things, you can go up to real-time decision making, data analytics, big data, predictive analytics, so many things. Ultimately, environment and also water, any issue for that matter. Today in Singapore, they are using technologies in a big way. They are able to find proper solutions. They are using resources at most efficiently. And at the same time, leader consistently follow it up. If you start and leave, no results will come. Ultimately, outcomes are important. Ultimately, how we are going to produce outcomes after some time, how it is going to become a culture, a habit. If you do that, then everything is possible. That is what Singapore is doing. If all of us will do, then every place will be the most livable place. Everything is available today. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. Stephen?
Yeah. So what makes me excited about the future is the way global talent is connecting and delivering solutions. You know, I really think compared to 10 years ago, and we see it at Jacobs, is the way we're able to bring resources from all over the world to connect and deliver solutions locally, no matter where we are in the world. And I think that global talent combined with technology is going to really make the future very exciting for all of us.
Well, I will say transparency, the first element, and of course the fact that with all the fab labs, innovators, there is a new social citizen and people responsibility to contribute to innovation, and that's the big hope.
Thank you. I believe that most of the stuff have been said by my colleagues, but I would say the one thing which we see as the main element which keeps us really optimistic is the changing the mindset which we see all over the world, that no one is waiting the other to do something. Everyone is stepping in and moving ahead and doing their own part. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there seems to be some consensus here that, you know, something is moving from the ground. It's bottom up, mindsets are changing, there's technology. It's great. I hope you're optimistic. The next question, please.
Good morning. My name is Sahana Singh, and I'm the editor of Asian Water Magazine. So my question is for Shri Chandrababu Naidu. It's really heartening to have such a forward-looking chief minister who is so eager to bring in carbon neutrality, modern methods of water and waste management. So that's, I'd like to appreciate that. But I'd also like to ask a question, whether you are taking any inspiration from history, the rich history and civilizational values of Andhra Pradesh. Because if you go back, we see that Andhra Pradesh was ruled by the Satavahanas, and you know, we had great rulers like Gautami Putra Satkarni, and even your capital city is named after an ancient Indian city called Amaravati, which had beautiful structures, beautiful buildings, some of which can be seen only in British Museum today. So I would like to know if you're going to take any inspiration from the ancient Indian knowledge systems, you know, the knowledge of architecture, environment, and traditional rainwater harvesting, for example. So I'd like to know if you would, because are we going to see another urban concrete jungle in Andhra Pradesh with ugly buildings which we see in every other part of the world? That's my question.
As you rightly mentioned, we are a great legacy. Amaravati is also a sweet name. Even Amaravati in Indian mythology, it is the capital of Indra, who is the ruler of angels. That is the mythology. So I wanted to build one of the best city. To build a city, it is very difficult also. After bifurcation, I don't have resources. Then it is a mandate for me to build a capital. Then I thought, very innovative idea I gave to my people. I appealed farmers, why can't you come with a land pooling idea? You give me your land, I will develop it. After development, 25 to 30% of land I will give back to you. You will get 3-4 times better price what you are enjoying today, minimum. Then people believed me. I quoted Singapore example, and also Singapore government is supporting me, that is what I told them. Then they agreed, then we are working in that. If you see today, ancient legacy is one, and also modernization is another. And also you have to protect nature. Here what we are doing, our friend has rightly mentioned, clean energy, solar, wind energy. It is a blessing for us. If you go for all vehicles, electrical vehicles, pollution can be controlled. And also sustainable buildings, how to go for green buildings, everything we are working. One is we are keeping modern technologies and also historical things, and I want to protect culture also. Ultimately, this city will be happiest city. We are making happiness as an index. That is how we are working. Again, happiness will come through historical things, cultural, and also so many things we have to revive again. Then only it will give happiness. Technology will give so much of advantage if you use properly. Technology, if you misuse, it is miserable for anybody. Nowadays, all youngsters we are seeing, they are adopted technology, they are addicted to technology. Then all tension, stress, all mental problems, so many things are coming. This is where we must be cautious. But if you use properly technology for all these things, it will happen wonders. My case, Amaravati, I am benchmarking one among top 5 in the world. I will be very happy. 100% we are confident we will build this city. I am assuring you, because technology is available, human resources are available, innovations are coming. Our friends are saying, same money India we are spending, benefits are not coming. If we use at most efficiently by using innovations and technologies, we can do wonders.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Minister. I think there's a question there, please. Please identify yourself. It's on. Oh, not very loud.
Thank you very much. My name is Mohamed Mezgani. I am the Secretary General of the International Association of Public Transport. So a lot has been said about water, energy, waste management, environment, but not much about mobility and transport. I think it's important, it was mentioned, that we focus on technology. I mean, you mentioned Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence. So these are important aspects, but technology will never succeed to transport people. So it is good to have it because it will make more efficient and more demand responsive services. But we need large public transport infrastructure. We need to develop mass transit and integrate it with new mobility solutions with on-demand transport. Especially we are here in Singapore, and under the leadership of the Land Transport Authority, Singapore is one of the leaders for as far as mobility is concerned. So I would like to hear the view of the panel about their views about transport in the city. Thank you.
I'm going to direct it first to Bernard Charles, because I had a follow-up question when you talked of your virtual Singapore. you know, because you can visualize options for transport policies. But how do you nudge people to choose those options?
Yep.
And can you please try
We
to
did
answer
a very interesting simulation
Yeah.
here with Virtual Singapore. We were asked to really look at the flow about how
Louder,
students
Loud.
how students are going to school, on which means do they use to go to school. And I think it was a very strong reveal for the policymaker to discover, you know, what was the path, the flow, because it helps to do multimodal optimization. In fact, we discovered quite an anecdotal story that the young generation would go to the park, so they would go the wrong way to live, and the elder generation would go somewhere else. So multimodal transportation is about understanding how the city is working and how people are using this multimodal aspect. I would also like to notice that's about how it's used. There is a revolution going on in transportation on all aspects. I think the last mile delivery, for example, is going to be, we have 500 new e-mobility projects going on, whether it's drones, electrical airplanes, of course, obviously electrical robots, cars, but it will become robots this is happening today. And those programs are going on, and they are changing the landscape about how those services could be provided. And our platform is used for this, because this is about cyber, not cyber security, but cyber in terms of system availability within city. And the third point I would relate to is the fact that aside of metro, the city has always been seen and observed in 2D. And there are a lot of misuse of the fact that it's a space. And therefore, the Z dimension is very important and could be a significant factor to improve underground services. Not many cities understand the underground architecture. Things are there because they are there for years. Underground could be used for many, many set of services which are not necessarily people-centric, but serving people, but not people underground. And those things are new solutions which need to be evaluated much more seriously. So how it works, new mobility equipment on robots. On the third thing is the city is a volume, not a flat thing.
Does anyone want to answer that? Do you? We'll get another view.
This is a very good point. For cities to be green and to be inclusive, public transport is absolutely essential. It is also essential if we want to be more serving to gender equality, as we know that in some countries, in some developing countries, women stay out of the workplace because they cannot safely go to work. So for us at the World Bank, investing in public transport is absolutely critical to make cities more inclusive and to make them cleaner. And a big chunk of our portfolio goes for rail. Actually, the point that was made, making it possible to reach from one point to another very quickly on the basis of using big data to understand how the city actually functions. This is absolutely critical. We have to look into the future when the automobile is going to be something very different, yes. But between now and then, we have to make sure that cities function. If there is no connectivity, if there is no mobility, people don't go to jobs, they stay poor. And that is, the point you make is absolutely critical for us to integrate in the way we think of investing in cities.
Oh, I'm glad to see so many questions. There's one right at the back of the room, there's one here, and there's one in the middle. I would give the floor to the right-hand side, and then the back of the room, then the third question, and I think that's it. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. My question is to the Chief Minister.
Can you speak up?
My question is to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Namaste, Chief Minister. I have the privilege recently to visit your state, and I've got a question about...
Louder, please.
Later. Okay, I had the pleasure to visit your state in Andhra Pradesh. My name is Dr. Jeremy Novak, and I'm from Southern Cross University. You touched on the renewable energy and how you are implementing solar, wind, and other renewable energy sector. I would like to know, how are you building resilience inside the community and also inside these critical infrastructure organisations? Thank you.
Did you catch the question?
Yeah, little bit. And as you rightly mentioned, future is going to change, especially in developing countries. Even Gulf countries also, even Dubai, like this, these are all the countries, it is going to change with clean energy, renewable energy. In Andhra Pradesh, if you see, as on today we are procuring power at the rate of 5 rupees 50 paisa per unit. Now latest solar energy is coming, 2 rupees 70 paisa. If we do some more reforms, then it will come around 2 rupees. This is a very interesting combination. Then you can go for electrical vehicles under so many applications, how to use energy. It is a clean energy, pollution free, and also it won't generate pollution for other applications also. That is the beauty of that. We are, as on today, around 20% renewable energy. Now I am stopping total thermal, nuclear, all other energies. I am going only solar energy or wind energy. And at the same time, there is a peak load factor balancing, grid stability. That is the biggest issue. Solar will come in the morning, wind will come in the evening. How to balance all these things throughout the day, 24 hours application. That we are doing. Storage also we are going in a big way, but storage is costly. Even some people idle under solar, they are also balancing. Various applications are coming. I am confident in future storage will come, then smart power grids will come. Then automatically transmission losses will be nil, and also local power, local demand we can meet. That is the day it is going to come with smart power grids.
Thank you. There was a question, I'll give right at the back first because I think they are usually missed out. There's someone at the back who can't see you, but...
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Anupma and I'm the publisher for Water Digest magazine from India. I request a question from CM of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. Sir, is our government is also planning to have new water of Singapore as a successful story, there an implementation of the same in India as well? Do you think the acceptability of the same and using of treated used water for potable purpose anytime soon in Andhra Pradesh?
No, I am very happy for that question. That is how in Singapore, they made an excellent product. If you see this new water in Singapore, it is a treated water. First glass, Singapore PM take. Then he said, new water is not dangerous, everybody can have it. That is how it has come. Now we are going how to treat solid waste management, liquid waste management. This is the biggest area. Now people are coming forward to use this water for gardens and also for other purposes also. Now we are going waste to wealth. Everything we are thinking it is waste. From garbage, we are creating energy. That plants, we are having 7 to 8 plants. It is working very well now, coming. And also from garbage, we are going for conversion to compost, which is useful for the fertilizer, for the fields. These various issues are coming. Water is very crucial. In future, there will be wars only on water, not on other issues. In between villages, between states, between countries, it is going to happen. But so many ways. Some countries are going desalination. In India, there is abundant water in some parts of the country. We are not using properly. Ultimately, whenever there is a necessity, people are forced to go for innovations. Even India is not exceptional for that. That stage, when it is going to come, we have to watch.
I agree, Chief Minister. It's the necessity that will
Yes.
force adoption.
Yes.
Yes. There's a question in front from the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Ranil.
The question is to the Honorable Chief Minister. My name is Bhaskar and I'm from Coimbatore. The World Bank chief mentioned two pertinent points. Now, there are huge investments required on the infrastructure sector. And how do we make it attractive for the private investors to also chip in so that the cities are able to reach their goals faster? Now, in India, the SPV is formed under Smart Cities Mission. They are meant to attract the private investment. The central government gives a lot of grants. The state government also gives its share. That has to be used to leverage as equity and make the private partners to participate in the holding company, what we call as Smart City Limited. And that would have really given us much headway. In fact, the Urban Development Ministry
Can you give us the question, please?
Yeah, the question is, why is it not happening? The government at the local level lack leadership, and the second point is they are using that as another department of the government rather than using it as an independent company, a corporate company, to reach our goals.
As you rightly mentioned, India also is moving public-private partnership in all programs, not only one program. In urban area, in Amaravati for drinking water, or otherwise for everything, we are going for private investment in a big way. Somewhere we are going different models, either PPP model or hybrid annuity. Some money will give, some money even for roads we are going same thing. Under so many areas, even service operators we are engaging, even cleaning is service operators, even drainage maintenance is service operators. Like that we are going even street lights. We are going now LED bulbs. One innovative idea, I am telling all of you, all mayors are here. In Andhra Pradesh, we had cyclone 3 years back, 2.5 years back. One city was totally destroyed with street lights, even poles, everything, electrical poles. Then I had a brainstorming session. Somebody suggested me, why can't we go LED bulbs? Then immediately I asked them what is the saving. Then I negotiated 30% what I am spending today I have saved. Remaining 70% I have given to them for 10 years maintenance without spending one pi. What I am spending today I have saved, 30%, remaining money I have done. All urban areas we have gone, rural areas LED bulbs we are going. If entire country is adopting now, if everybody will do 35 to 40,000 crores saving, that is nearly 6 to 7 billion US dollars in one saving, that is energy saving. So these are all innovative ideas are coming. Ultimately, any better service for the citizen, we have to go public-private partnerships, various formats. It may be outsourcing, it may be PPP, it may be BOT, so many things. We are moving in that direction. It is giving very good results.
Thank you. The last question will go to the middle of the room.
Hanne Christensen from the Rumble Group. Thank you for a very inspiring dialogue today. I believe that most of us here in the room that we're really inspired and will go back and do what we can to reach this targets and objectives you're talking about. But when we walk out of the door here, we will also face that there are other challenges in the world when we are talking water resilience and sanitation here. Whereas, for instance, also the health sector, which is also encourage a lot of efforts from the cities. How will you in the panel ensure that we get these topics here within climate resilience and also sanitation on the top of the agenda?
Well, this is for the panel, so I'm going to try and give some of the other speakers a chance to answer. I wonder if Mr. Zhuang would like to answer how China would try to keep, the issue of resilience, sanitation on top, given that you have so many issues on your agenda, and I think China has many issues on its agenda. How would you keep the focus on resilience, sustainability, sanitation?
问到这个问题呢，我想先说一下，刚才有一位先生问到交通的问题，谈到这个城市交通的合理设计，但是里边有一个重要的前提，就是区域的规划。我们经常遇到一个过度的功能分区以后，往往是早晨有大量的人流往城市的中心区、行政区去走，到了下午下班的时候，有大量的人流往外走，导致了很多交通的问题。所以这个空间的规划呢，千万不要任性，也不要过度的分区呢，会导致这样一个人流的问题，给交通带来了拥挤，包括污染的排放这些问题。我们也知道，最近新加坡跟中国呢，在天津开展一个生态城的建设，里边呢就比较好的解决了这些问题。在更加宏观的层面上呢，中国政府呢现在强调一个叫做五位一体，怎么把政治的、经济的、社会的、文化的和生态环境呢作为五位一体来进行合理的布局和建设。当然这个难度会很大。我们知道一开始是环境与发展怎么协调，再后来在南非的约翰内斯堡会议上提出3大支柱的问题，社会的、经济的、环境的。到现在呢，中国探索一个五位一体的，这些呢都需要有一个强有力的领导。我们感受就是为了防止任性，为了实现可持续发展，一个需要有强有力的领导，一个要有法治的支持，再有一个很重要，要有强有力的技术体系的支持。谢谢。
Now, I'm going to pass this to Stephen Dimitro, and I'm going to let Dr. Tani have the last word on resilience and how your country, in fact, keeps the focus on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that all the questions that came up over the last 45 minutes are really connected. And that's why I think the importance of a master plan, a vision for a whole city or region is critical, because whether it's sanitation or mobility or water or climate threat, these are all linked, integrated, and what gives me excitement and hope about the future is the fact that most big cities and mid-sized cities are all taking a step back and developing this master plan for a smart city which incorporates all of these issues that got brought up.
Thank you. Dr. Tani.
Thank you, Professor Chan. When it comes to resilience here in the UAE, it's been included in our 2050 climate adaptation plan. There are so many things which has already been taken into consideration. For example, when it comes to infrastructure, we have already been implementing this for the last few years, that any project which is very close to the coastal area has to be above the sea by 1.2 meters. So when it comes to agriculture, we've been trying so many breeding ways and some of the seeds which can be adaptable and resilient to the various weather conditions that we have.
Digested with food waste from the waste to energy plant to increase biogas generation. In fact, it produces biogas not just enough to be able to provide energy for both plants together, but also to export energy. Nation will raise land productivity, always a concern for very small Singapore, and also use circular economy principles to reduce our emissions and maximize resource recovery. Water is also a good example of how we are growing our efforts in Singapore to stimulate and share innovation around the challenges and opportunities facing cities around the world. Today we have 200 public and private R&D centers with over 14,000 people working on water alone. There's also much potential in the ASEAN Smart Cities Network, that we launched earlier this year. It's a collaborative platform of 26 ASEAN cities which are working towards the common goal of smart and sustainable urban development. Beyond making the most of empower communities and develop the social capital, the social networks that we essentially call capital, that helps ensure that urban innovations have broadly felt benefits amongst the population. Medellin in Colombia is a well-known example of how the city government engaged multiple stakeholders in its projects and interventions to develop urban inclusivity, including the hillside escalators and cable cars and other public transport modes that especially benefited its low-income neighborhoods, many of which are on the hills community. The Seoul Metropolitan Government set up citizen committees and smart digital platforms such as the M-voting system to allow participants to voice their opinions, deliberate issues, and build consensus for city-level solutions. The Seoul Plan 2030, Seoul's urban master plan, also involved a representative 100-member citizen group, what they call dong-level community planning programs. Consultation and involvement is part and parcel of the planning process. We are also developing new ways for local stakeholders to work together. An initiative now being developed is Virtual Singapore. Virtual Singapore is a digital twin of the entire physical Singapore, mapped out in 3D and based on real-time dynamic data. It has many potential local upgrading projects, neighborhood upgrading projects, will change the landscape, and to ensure that we plan for barrier-free routes for senior citizens and knowing the exact gradient of the route. JTC Corporation, which is in charge of our industrial estates, planning tools in Virtual Singapore that will enable it to involve stakeholders more actively, businesses as well as people living around the estates, in the design of our industrial estates, including the road networks and public transport amenities.
Full opening address. Assistance, Ambassador at Large, Ministry of Foreign Affairs Singapore, and Chairperson SIWW Water Leaders Summit, Professor Tommy Koh, who will lead the next session. Professor Koh, please.
Thank you, beautiful MC. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, Deputy Prime Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Sri Chandrababu Naidu, Ministers, Boya. It's a special we are celebrating the 10th International Water Week, the Water Leaders Summit, and the Global City Summit. Two themes of our chairmanship are resilience and innovation. It is special because Singapore has designated this year, 2018, as the year of climate action for large emitters next year. These actions are taken because of our commitment to harm the environment, destroy our ecosystems, kill our biodiversity. We are threatening human civilization on Earth. Cities are important because over half of humanity now live in cities. And cities drive our civilization and our economies. Human beings can't survive without water. And one of the goals of the UN and ourselves is to have universal access for all human beings to clean drinking water and safe and proper sanitation. We have made some progress on water. According to the World Health Organization, in the last 25 years, 2.6 billion people have gained access to clean drinking water. But we must not become complacent because according to WHO, over 2 billion people still do not have clean drinking water in their homes. The situation on this sanitation is a disaster. Of the 7 billion people on this earth, over half, 4.5 billion people do not have access to safe and proper sanitation. For this reason, issue at the UN General Assembly and inscribe it on its agenda. The UN has in turn designated 19 November each year as World Toilet Day. I would now like to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker. Ranil Wickremesinghe is one of Sri Lanka's most respected and experienced political leaders. He had served twice before as Prime Minister, so this is his third time as Prime Minister. As all of you know, Sri Lanka has gone through a 26-year-long civil war. The country is now at peace, and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has the challenging job of bringing about reconciliation among his people in order to achieve inter-ethnic and inter-religious harmony. He's also seeking to build the economy and produce jobs for his people. He's also trying to rebuild the damaged infrastructure, build new infrastructure, and to transform the beautiful towns and cities of Sri Lanka into safe, efficient, livable, and sustainable cities. Sri Lanka is very fortunate to have him as a Prime Minister at this critical moment. And it now gives me very great pleasure to invite Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to address us.